Good morning, students. I welcome you back once
Good morning,
again
ma'am.
in this class
Good
related to
morning, ma'am.
communicative English. Very good morning to you all. As you all know that we were discussing about the business letters. We have details about the business letters. We have also understood these days because of the technology how email writing is slowly replacing the old letter writing style, and instead of sending the letters we are sending emails, and it is equally relevant and important to send an email when compared to the pen and paper letter, because that not only saves your time, it also saves your cost. It also let people know about the information very quickly. Even the responses that you are liking to get from the recipient will be quick enough, isn't it? So let us understand, when we talk about sending letters or writing email, what are the two things that we should always keep in our mind? The basic two things that we should always keep in our mind is, in every communication, it's a two-way process. There is a sender and there is a receiver. You should keep these two people or these two entities or these two segments in your mind. Whenever we talk about communication, communication happens between two people. So there is a sender and there is a receiver. Whenever we use the word communication, we are sharing some information. Either we are instructing people or we are ordering people, we are guiding people, we are mentoring people, we are sharing some feeling, some emotion of ours with others. So there is a message. This message, when a sender wants to convey it to the receiver, when the sender is willing to convey some message to its receiver, what is the sender doing? The sender first understands. The sender will first think. The sender will first ideate. The sender will first understand what he wants to explain. What is the idea that he is willing to convey? What is the instruction that he is willing to share? What is the order that he is willing to pass? What is the emotion that he is willing to share with the receiver? So keep this in your mind that whenever we talk about the process of communication, it's a two-way process. And in this process, there is a sender and there is a receiver. When we talk about the sender will first understand, will first try to find out what is it that he wants to share with the receiver. This is called as encoding or encode. What do we understand by the term encode? Identify what to convey to the receiver. This is done by sender. The sender is a person who wants to share, who wants to communicate, who wants to inform, who wants to say something to the receiver. Before saying something, even in the mind of the sender, there should be clarity. If there is no clarity, what is going to happen? The sender will not be able to communicate in a right way with the receiver. Hence, you all have to keep this in your mind that whenever we talk about the process of communication and the process that is happening between sender and the receiver, the sender must encode, must understand, must generate, must inform the right information to his mind so that a proper sentence can be drafted, a proper line can be framed, a proper sentence structure can be framed, and then the message that is clearly drafted, clearly identified, whatever the instruction that the sender is willing to pass on to the receiver, or whatever the order that the sender is willing to pass on to the receiver, this information will be shared by the sender to the receiver. The sender is sharing the information to the receiver. Now, whatever the sender has understood, whatever instruction the sender is willing to pass, whatever order that the sender is willing to convey to the receiver, exactly the same information should be understood, should be grabbed, should be properly identified by the receiver. When the sender is saying right, and even if the receiver is understanding right, then the receiver is decoding sender's information. This is called as decode. For example, let us do a small activity, very, very small activity. Everybody on your chat box, be very quick to respond. All right. I want you to write the dictation. I want you all to please write the dictation So therefore, if you are here attending this particular class, of course, I want you to please pay attention to my sound, listen to my voice, and then write the dictation. In case if there is a message which is shared by one of the student who is willing to leave because uh, there is a family member who is taking up the test. So I'll allow you, dear Ismail. You can definitely allow your sister to use the mobile phone and wish her good luck from my side. All right. I'm going to share the video recording of this particular class, dear. You can definitely watch it. And in case if you have any doubt, you can re-ask me or you can clear your doubts in the next class, which is going to happen tomorrow. All right, dear. Thank you, Ismail, and wish again good luck from my side to your sister. So the moment once when we are talking about decoding, let me see whether I'm able to encode it in a proper way to my receiver. I am the speaker, so I am the person who is going to encode the message, which I want my receiver to decode in a right way. The word is important. Important. Quickly, I would like to see who is going to type first. Very good, Dheeraj. Very good, Shubham Arman. Very good, Sakib. Good, Abhishek. Sonam. Very good, very good, very good. The next word, the next word, the next word. Communication. Communication. I am really waiting for the answers. Oh my, look, there are typo errors, there are spelling errors. Yes, yes, yes. But you are understanding, you are able to decode. Succinct. Succinct. Here is a googly for you all. Uh-huh. Now I want you all to check the spelling of succinct. You can Google it. Now I am not finding the right spelling here. Why I'm not trying like getting the right answer? Because never ever you might have heard this particular word. This is an unfamiliar word, and because of this unfamiliar word, what had happened? People, they may not be knowing the spelling of this word. Very good, Adrit. Excellent. Yes, the spelling of succinct is rightly written by you. SUCCINCT. So you should understand this is called as decoding, right? So you started decoding. I want everyone to write the correct spelling now. So what I did, I as a sender was encoding a message. As a receiver, you could understand, then you could decode it. Is this clear with everyone? If everybody could understand the process of the communication, the first layer, I'm not talking about the noise, I'm not talking about the barrier, I'm talking about the first segment. Sender encoding the message and receiver decoding the message. Is this clear with everyone? And do not use a Hindi. I want to ask Shubham, when you were reading Hindi, how did you read Hindi? Did you understand Hindi in some other language? And if I talk about your mother tongue, did you understand mother tongue in any other language other than the mother tongue? So if you really want to improve your English, don't translate. Translation is wrong way of learning the new language or even understanding the language in a right way. So avoid translations. All right. Shubham Arman, are you with me? Are you going to translate or will you not translate? Will you think only in English when you are thinking or to talk or to convey information in English? So are you with me, Shubham Arman? I really want to get the information from your side. Thinking in English will help you to speak confidently in English. All right, dear. Not only to Shubham, this information to is with every student, is to all the students who want to really improve your communication skills, particularly in English language. If you really want to improve your communication skill in English language, lesson number one, start thinking in English. The moment you start thinking in English, of course, you will find some words which are missing. Some sentences wherein you will not be able to understand the words because you are encountering and you are learning new words. You are enhancing your vocabulary. You are improving your skills. So you're going to learn. Learning is fun. Unless and until you do not get challenged, how are you going to enjoy it, right? Challenges are always appreciated and liked by you, young people like you all. So therefore, I really want you all to focus onto this. Please make a common understanding. Translation is not going to help you to improve your language skills. So for example, if you really want to improve your Hindi spoken skills, you should think in Hindi. If you want to improve your Bhojpuri speaking skills, you have to think in Bhojpuri. Similarly, when you want to think in English, start start thinking in English. That is going to definitely help you people, help you a lot. Then comes the next segment. The moment once when we are talking about the process, you could see I have mentioned something which is called as noise, isn't it? So when we talk about the noise are barriers. We are going to talk about barriers little later, but before we go into the barriers, let us understand the forms of communication. When we talk about the forms of communication, broadly it is categorized into two parts. One is verbal, the other one is non-verbal. What do we understand by verbal? Something that is spoken or some information that is written. You all can see the slides. The slides, when I wanted to present, I have written it. I have prepared. I have written some information which I am or which I can show to my students, whosoever are attending the class. So keep this in your mind that the written communication will help you to read and to write. Say, for example, when you write something in the chat box, what is it that I'm doing? I'm reading it. So written information is read by people. And if anything is like if you are reading something, if anything that you are reading, that means it is almost written. Probably it is written in your mind. It is written in your thoughts, which you can identify, which you can really connect with one thought to the other, one sentence with the other, one paragraph with the other, and then you can present. Similarly, when we talk about oral is something where you speak and when you listen. Oral communication is again subdivided into two parts. One is the speaker, other is the listener. Say, for example, right now, my online classes, we are using verbal communication. When we talk about verbal communication, very less is happening with non-verbal part. So, but when we talk about online, it is purely verbal. Why is it only pure verbal? Because I am the speaker, you all are listener. This is oral communication. When I'm writing something or when I'm presenting my presentation, you all are reading it. So when you write something in the chat box, I read it. So written communication, wherein there is a reader and there is a writer. So keep this in your mind whenever we talk about communication. Communication is broadly divided into two segments. One is verbal, the other one is non-verbal. When we talk about verbal talks about oral communication and written communication. When we say oral communication, here we focus on things that are spoken and things that are listened by the person whosoever is listening. Similarly, when we talk about written is divided again into two parts. One is the writer, the other one is the reader. Now, moving to the next segment, which is a bit difficult to identify and to understand on online platform, because non-verbal communication is purely focusing on the body language. So please understand, whenever we talk about non-verbal communication, our body is divided into three parts. The first is face. Your face, particularly your eyes, your lips, your eyebrows, they convey a lot. So your facial expression matters a lot. The first one, facial expression. Say, for example, you like some of the colors. You are tasting something and the food is really very tasty and it's yummy. So how do you express? Your face will let your mother know that, wow, the food was really liked and enjoyed by the kid. So you should always remember facial expressions matter a lot. Then comes gesture. You must have seen when you talk, automatically your hands, the fingers, they make different positions, they make different forms, they make different shapes and structure. These are called as gestures. And though, if you talk about gestures, exact meaning of these gestures, we may not be knowing, but still, it will help us to connect with our audience. If you are making certain gestures, because of those gestures, you will see you are connecting with your audience. Now, try to talk to your mother, try to talk to your brother and sister just by keeping your hand behind your body and then have a proper communication. You will feel uncomfortable. The moment your hands are moving, the fingers are moving, and when you can really communicate, you will see that with the movement of your hands, you can freely communicate and you can definitely communicate in an effective way. So also remember, along with the expression, along with the facial expressions, there is something which is called as gesture. Gestures are those actions which are made, which are presented by our fingers. Then comes posture. Whenever we talk about the body, or when I say the body language, it's all about how do you carry your body, how do you walk, how do you stand, how do you sit, how do you bend, how do you present your complete body is called as body language. Then we also need to understand about proximity. During COVID-19, everybody must have heard something which is called as social distancing. The social distancing means people who are maintaining a gap of 6 to 8 feet. Similarly, when you are having an interaction with your best friend, you will see the distance between you and your best friend reduces a lot. So the distance that is between you and your best friend, you or your parent, is of 1 or less than 1 feet. When you talk about your seniors, say for example, maintaining the distance between you and seniors is of 4 feet. So that is again that shows how far we are connected, how closely we are connected, what is the relationship between we, that is I, and the other person. So you have to keep this in your mind that proximity talks about the space, talks about the distance that is maintained from one person to the other person, that is between people. Whenever we maintain the distance between people, the study of the space between two different people is called as proximity. Then touch. Many times we touch each other in order to communicate, in order to convey. Say, for example, you are listening something very beautiful and you don't want to break that particular enjoyment or entertainment of yourself. So what are you going to do? You're going to touch the person who is next to you and you may convey the information. Many of you, during examination time, when you want to get the clue related to any of the question and answer, do you shout, do you ask answer, excuse me, dear friend, can you please let me know the question number 4 answer is that A, B, C, D? And your friend will not say, look, friend, the answer is A. No, you don't do that. So what do? You convey it with your facial expressions. Sometimes you touch, sometimes you even create that space, and you have different tips and different tricks that you apply in order to get the answer through the clue, through the cues. That is all part of non-verbal communication. All right. Then comes personal appearance. The way we dress matters a lot. The way we look, the way we present ourselves matters a lot. Because if, say, you are attending somebody's marriage ceremony, or if it is your birthday and it's a special day for you, so what do? You really dress up very well. Why are you dressing up very well? Because it's a special day and you want to present in front of others that, look, this is a special day for me and I'm enjoying it. So that is again part of body language. And finally, silence. When your parents are scolding you, do you counter answer each and every time? No. Do you listen to them? Yes. How do you listen to them? Silently. Why are you silent? You are silent because you want to make people understand that you are trying to understand each and everything. You are trying to obey them. You are trying to bring that change, positive change in your personality, and you are going to obey whatever they say, right? So please understand, whenever we talk about communication, communication is divided into two parts here. The first is verbal and the other one is non-verbal. When we talk about verbal, anything that we speak, anything that we write is a part of verbal communication. Similarly, when we talk about non-verbal communication, it can be related to your body. When I can't talk about body, it is divided into three different segments: your facial expressions, the gestures, the movements that are made, that are showed to the other person with the help of your fingers, with the help of your hand, and then the posture. How do you carry your complete body? The gap that you maintain between two different bodies is called as proximity. The gap between personality to personality, the gap between one body to the other body. All right. So that study is called as proximity. Then touch can also be a part of nonverbal communication. Similarly, personal appearance is a part of nonverbal communication. Silence is a part of nonverbal communication. When we were talking about process, when we talk about the form, if you want to communicate verbally or non-verbally, the sender and the receiver, when they want to share some message, when they are willing to convey some message, now this message that they are conveying, the message that they are sharing, the message they want to share from the sender to the receiver. And then when the receiver understood the information, he steps into the shoes of sender. That means now the receiver will become sender because he wants to respond to the question that is asked by the sender. So he is going to enter into the shoes. That means he will step into the shoes of the sender. The receiver is now the sender. He will encode the information. He will encode the message. The message will be shared. Decoding would be done by the receiver earlier who was the sender. So in this way, the chain, the loop of communication, it goes on and on till the time the communication is not going to end. That is sender sharing the message to the receiver, receiver understanding it, and then once again trying to understand. After understanding, sharing the information, sharing the response, sharing the answer. Now here the receiver is becoming or turning into sender, and the sender who was earlier sharing the information will be the receiver. Hello friend, how are you? You immediately respond to it by saying, hi, I'm fine. So what are you doing? A sender shared the message to the receiver. Receiver, after listening to it, he immediately turned and he immediately become a sender. Similarly, the sender who had sent the information earlier, now he is becoming the receiver. But many a times you will see that whatever communication that you want to communicate, whatever information that you want to share, whatever piece of message that you want to deliver, because of barriers, because of some or the other obstacle, because of some or the other hindrances, people or the person who wants to communicate, either the sender or the receiver, finds it very difficult to understand. Why they find it difficult to understand? Sometimes there can be physical barriers. What do we understand by physical barrier? Internet issues, network issues, physical barrier. If you want, you can avoid, but they are not under your control. You cannot control them totally. So if there is a bad weather, if it is raining very heavily, you will definitely find even your cable connection, you will see that there's a communication gap. Because of the satellite communication gap, you cannot watch your favorite channels, right? So keep this in your mind. Time, say for example, instead of morning 10 o'clock, if I schedule the class at 11 or 12 at night, I don't know how many of your parents will allow me to do so, right? So that is again a physical barrier. Place, you people are not living in Patna. Many of you are the resident of they are the resident of Bihar, but living in different districts or in different cities and towns. So can you come? Can you attend online classes? Difficult. You require a place, you require hostel, or you may require a boarding or lodging facility, and there are different things that you have to manage. So physically there can be different things which can create barrier. Noise is the biggest barrier. Physically you will hear lot many noise. Say for example, right now I want everyone to unmute your speaker for just 5 seconds. Everybody, it's a request to kindly unmute your speaker, everyone. Thank you very much. I request you all to mute your speaker now. Now, could you all understand noise? If I don't ask you all to mute your speaker and to attend classes, do you think, can you attend the classes properly? Quickly in the chat box. Can you attend classes by keeping your speakers unmute, or by keeping the speakers online and then regularly having the interaction between us? No, it's not possible. Why? Because of the noise. Can we avoid noise? Yes, we can, but we have to change the position. So therefore, it is a part of physical barrier. Perceptual barrier. People who have studied in Hindi medium, how many of you have done your schooling in Hindi medium? Quickly. Or even if you have studied in English medium, how many of your teachers were teaching you completely in Hindi? Quickly in the chat box. If your teacher was teaching you in Hindi, write H in the chat box. And if you have studied everything in English, write E in the chat box. I can see Sakib mentioning H, Sudhanshu. Most of you have mentioned H. except couple of E's, right? Now, the student who have studied even in English medium, the teachers were explaining the things or teaching or trying to detail the things in Hindi so that the student could understand. But because of this, what had happened right now, if I give you a topic to start speaking onto that topic, how many of you will be confident enough to speak? Many times we feel uncomfortable. Why do we feel uncomfortable? Because we are not confident. Why are we lacking confidence? Though we have studied in English medium, because we did not prepare ourselves. We did not practice in such way. And this is the basic reason why you will see that students who have studied in Hindi medium, they believe they cannot communicate in English in an effective way. This is their perception, which is absolutely wrong. If you practice, you can change it within a week. But if you do not change your mindset, if you are not willing to change the mindset, and then if you just keep blaming, I'm a student who had studied in Hindi medium school, so therefore I will not be able to communicate good English. Again, this is your perceptional barrier, right, dear? Yes, Sonam, it's an art. Every language is an art, and you have rightly stated, if we really want to improve ourselves, we have to practice, right, dear? So practice makes you perfect. Keep this in your mind. Everybody can improve yourself. Even today, I have to improve myself. And how can I improve myself unless and until if I don't practice it every day? So practice is the main purpose that is really not identified by all of us. It's a key to our success, particularly when we are talking about communication skill. So practice is something which is missing. And why is it missing? Because we are carrying that old mindset. And what is that mindset? It is perception. It is our thought that is created in our mind. So because of perceptual barrier, because of these perceptual barriers, you will see people are finding difficulty in communication. So could you all understand about this second kind of barrier, that is perceptual? So for example, in many of the families, they say girl child should not go for higher education. Again, it's a perceptual, it's a perception, and because of this perceptual barrier, they don't allow kids to study or to pursue even the higher education, even the graduation. So therefore, you should understand perceptual barriers can also delay in communication. The next is emotional barrier. Whenever we talk about emotions, whenever your best friend fights with you, what do you see? You are not able to communicate in a right way. Why? Because of that emotional barrier, isn't it? If your mother is scolding you, if your father is scolding you, you will say that my complete day was spoiled because my parents, they don't believe me. Why? Because of that emotional barrier. The next comes the cultural barrier. You all must have heard about the different cultures that are followed by people of different religion or of different nation. So there are cultural barriers. Like say, for example, when we talk about India, particularly Hindus, we always get the blessing of our elders by touching their feet. Whereas if the same culture you go and practice in some other nation, they may not accept it. Why? Because that's a cultural barrier. Similarly, language barrier. The language that is known to you all is totally different. When you cannot understand a language, again, it leads to a cultural barrier. Say, for example, if you are speaking in different language other than Hindi, English, or some other language, I will not be able to understand. That will lead to language barrier. Interpersonal barrier. Interpersonal barriers are those barriers wherein there is a gap in between two different people. You are having a best friend right now. His name is Abhishek. Say, let us take an example that Abhishek is your best friend. All of a sudden, you had a stiff time with Abhishek. You could not have that better relationship with Abhishek. What is going to happen? You are going to change the mindset. And the relationship which was good, slowly it starts turning bitter. And that leads to what? Interpersonal barrier. So keep these things in your mind. I'm going to share this video lecture. I'm going to upload it on YouTube. I'm going to share the link with you all. I want you all to once again go through it. In case if you could not understand anything, let us discuss about the same tomorrow. Thank you very much for attending today's class. I'll be sharing the attendance link on your email along with the YouTube link. Till then, take care of yourself. Have a wonderful day. God bless you all.